Assalamu alaikum class 7 students. I'm Muhammad Kamal, your English subject teacher. In your summer homework, we will have a glimpse over activity number 1, where you have to read the passage very carefully and answer the questions given at the end. First, I will give a short summary for the passage. George is a giant tortoise who lives with his owner, Oliver. Previously, he was cared for by Oliver's grandpa, Jack. George is special because he is a rare type of tortoise. He enjoys simple foods and lives in a shed built by Grandpa Jack. George loves Oliver and wants to show how grateful he is by entering a pit competition. Although tortoises aren't allowed, George digs a tunnel to the fair. On the day of competition, George emerges dramatically from the ground and wins the perfect pit competition. On the day of competition, George emerges dramatically from the ground and wins the perfect pit competition after the other animals cause chaos. Questions. Who was Oliver? Look at the story to determine who Oliver is. Think about his role and relationship to George. Which one of these did George like to eat? Review the passage to find out what George likes to eat. Look for a list of foods mentioned. Who was Jack? Identify Jack's relationship to Oliver and George. Pay attention to how he is described. Praise closest in meaning to quite a rare type of tortoise. Find the praise in the text and think about what it means. Which other praise has similar meaning? Where did George live? Look for a description of George's home in the passage. Focus on details about his living arrangements. How did George feel towards his owner? Consider George's actions and thoughts towards Oliver. What emotion does this show? Complete the facts about George. Extract information from the text to fill in George's name, type, owner, and favorite foods. Who could not enter the perfect pit competition? Identify which animals are allowed in the competition. Who is explicitly excluded? Word meaning yearly in the paragraph beginning. A summer approach. Find the word that indicates something happening every year. Look for context clues around the word. Describe how George managed to enter the competition. Think about George's actions to get to the competition. What did he do to participate? Praise, showing George was not supposed to be out alone. Identify a praise that indicates George wasn't meant to be outside by himself. Look for restrictions on his movement. Praise suggesting something special or unusual in. When the day of the fair arrived, look for a praise that hints at something unexpected or out of the ordinary on the fair day. Order the events. Arrange the listed events in the sequence that they happened in the story. Determine the logical order from start to finish. Why everyone started clapping. Find about why the audience reacted with applause. Events led to their reaction, indicating Oliver was keen to see his pet. The praise showing Oliver's eagerness to be with George, or an action or expression of enthusiasm. Assalamu alaikum class 7th students. I am Muhammad Kamal, your English subject teacher at the Educator Al-Noor campus, Baghdada, Mardan. In this activity, we will read a passage about the sun and then explore some questions based on the text. You will not only understand the content of the passage better, but also learn how to analyze and interpret the information given. Let's get started. Summary of the passage. The sun is a star at the center of our solar system, providing us with essential energy, light, and heat. It is made primarily of hydrogen and helium. The sun's energy is produced in its core and takes a very long journey to reach the surface before some of it comes to Earth, taking only about 8 minutes to travel through the space. The sun's surface temperature is extremely high and it is located about 149.6 million kilometers from Earth. Despite its massive size, the sun will not last forever. It will eventually run out of energy billions of years from now. Explanation of questions. Number 1. Which gases is the sun mainly made from? This question is asking you to identify the main elements that compose the sun, which are mentioned in the passage. Number 2. How long does it take for energy to reach Earth from the sun? Here you need to find the specific time it takes for the sun's energy to travel through space and reach our planet, as described in the passage. Number 3. How far away is the sun from Earth? This question asks for the distance between the Earth and the sun, a numerical value provided in the passage. Number 4. What type of star is the sun? This question requires you to name the classification of the sun as a star based on information given.
Number 5. List the four layers of the sun from the center to the outside. You need to identify and order the layers of the sun starting from the innermost to the outermost as outlined in the passage. Number 6. What keeps our solar system of planets orbiting the sun? This question is asking about the force or factor that causes the planets to revolve around the sun. Number 7. Solar means relating to the sun. Think of another example where we use the word solar. You need to come up with another term or concept that uses the word solar in a similar context. Number 8. Will the sun last forever? If not, why? This question is about the sun's lifespan and the reason why it will eventually run out of energy. Number 9. Why has the author used an exclamation mark in this sentence to show surprise? It takes about 1,70,000 years for the energy to move from the core to the convection zone. Here you should explain why the author chose to use an exclamation mark, particularly to highlight the surprising or astonishing fact presented. Number 10. Look at the final line. Where do you think humans will be by then? This question prompts you to speculate about the future of humanity based on the changes described in the sun's life cycle. Conclusion. By understanding what each question is asking, you will be better equipped to find the answers within the passage. Good luck, and let's dive into learning more about our incredible sun.
Hello, class 7th students. I am Muhammad Kamal, your English subject teacher at the Educator Al-Noor campus, Baghdada, Mardan. Today we will be going through a passage that talks about young inventors and their amazing contributions to the world. We will also go over some questions to understand the passage better and learn some new vocabulary words. Let's get started. Explanation of the passage. The passage is about young inventors who made significant contributions to the world with their creative ideas. Number 1. Albert Sadaka was just 15 years old when he invented Christmas tree lights in 1917. This idea came to him after a tragic fire started by candles on a Christmas tree. His parents sold electric lights, and he thought they could be used on Christmas trees. Number 2. Louis Braille, blind in both eyes. His age was 12 years when he began working on a system to help blind people read and write more easily. By age 15, he invented Braille, which is still used today. Number 3. Frank Epperson was 11 years old when he accidentally created the first popsicle in 1905 by leaving a cup of lemonade outside overnight, which froze. He later patented the idea. Number 4. Chester Greenwood invented ear muffs at age 15 in 1873 because his ears got cold while ice skating. He asked his grandmother to help him make them, and his invention provided jobs for people in his hometown for many years. Number 5. Margaret E. Knight invented a safely device for textile mills at age 12 after seeing a worker get injured. She is also known for inventing the flat-bottomed paper bag. The passage emphasizes that young people can make a significant impact on the world with their inventions, regardless of their age. Explanation of each question. Number 1. Which statement is false? This question asks you to identify which of the four statements provided is not true according to the passage. Number 2. Which happened first in order of time? This question requires you to determine the earliest event among the given options. Number 3. According to the text, why did Louis Braille want to invent a new system of writing? Here you need to find the reason why Louis Braille created his writing system, based on information from the passage. Number 4. Which best describes how Frank Epperson invented the popsicle? This question is about understanding the process or method by which Frank Epperson created the popsicle. Number 5. Which event caused 15-year-old Albert Sadaka to invent? You need to identify what specific event inspired Albert Sadaka to invent Christmas tree lights.
Number 6. Which statement about Chester Greenwood is false? Similar to question number 1, this one asks you to find the incorrect statement about Chester Greenwood. Number 7. Which of the following caused Margaret E. Knight to invent at the age of 12? You need to determine the event that led to Margaret E. Knight's invention. Number 8. With which statement would the author of this text most likely disagree? This question is about understanding the author's perspective and identifying a statement that contradicts the message of the passage. Number 9. Which lesson can readers learn from this text? You should find the main lesson or moral the author wants to convey through the passage. Number 10. Which advice would the author most likely give to young people? Based on the passage, you need to infer what advice the author would likely give to young readers. Activity number 4. You need to answer it in detail. Number 1. Which of the child inventors in the text do you find to be most inspirational or significant? Why do you feel this way? Explain your answer completely. For this question, think about all the young inventors mentioned in the passage and decide which one inspires you the most. You should explain why you find this inventor inspirational or significant. For example, you might consider how their invention helped people, the difficulties they overcome, or how young they were when they made their discovery. Your answer should include reasons and details to support your opinion. Number 2. Of the inventions described in this text, which do you believe is the least important? Why do you think this? Explain your answer completely. In this question, you need to choose which invention you think is the least important among those mentioned in the passage. Explain why you feel this way by comparing the impacts of the different inventions. Consider how each invention has affected people's lives and society, and provide reasons to support your choice. Activity number 5, vocabulary words and their meanings, and then using them in their sentences. Number 1, find meanings of the following words. For this part, you need to look up and understand the meanings of the given words and write it in the front boxes. Number 2, use the above given words in meaningful sentences. In this part, you should create sentences using each of the vocabulary words. Make sure the sentences show that you understanding the meanings of the words. I hope these explanations should help you understand what each question is asking for and how to approach answering them. Good luck with your activities.
Assalamu alaikum class 7 students. I hope you're doing great. I am Muhammad Kamal, your English subject teacher at the Educator Al-Noor campus, Baghdada, Mardan. Today, we are going to learn how to ask questions using the past simple tense. We will practice this by asking questions about a friend's holiday. This activity will help you understand how to form questions correctly and use the past simple tense. Understanding past simple questions. When we ask questions about things that happened in the past, we use the past simple tense. This often involves using did to help form the question. Let's look at a couple of examples to understand how to form these questions. Where go becomes where did you go? Sunshine becomes did the sun shine? Forming questions. Number 1. How get there? To ask about the method of travel, you start with how did and follow with the rest of the sentence. Number 2. Who go with? To ask about the people involved, you start with who did and follow with the rest of the sentence. Number 3. Where stay? To ask about the place of stay, you start with where did and follow with the rest of the sentence. Number 4. The weather good. To ask about the weather, you start with was and follow with the rest of the sentence. Number 5. What you think of the food. To ask about opinions on the food, you start with what did and follow with the rest of the sentence. Number 6. What do during the day. To ask about daily activities, you start with what did and follow with the rest of the sentence. Number 7. Go out in the evenings.
To ask about evening activities, you start with did you and follow with the rest of the sentence. Number 8. Buy any souvenirs. To ask about souvenirs, you start with did you and follow with the rest of the sentence. Number 9. Make any new friends. To ask about new friends, you start with did you and follow with the rest of the sentence. Number 10. How long the journey home take? To ask about the duration of the journey, you start with how long did and follow with the rest of the sentence. How to do this activity? Look at the prompt. Each prompt gives you a hint on what the question should be about. Number 2, use did for questions. Most questions will use did to help form the past simple question. Number 3, form the question. Put the words in the correct order to make a clear question. Detailed explanation. Let's take a closer look at how to form these questions. Number 1, prompt. How, get, there. Think about how to ask someone about their travel method. Formulate the questions starting with how did, followed by the rest of the words in the prompt. Number 2, prompt. The weather, good. Think about how to ask if the weather was good. Formulate the question starting with was, followed by the rest of the words in the prompt. Number 3, prompt. Who, go with. Think about how to ask who accompanied your friend. Formulate the question starting with who did, followed by the rest of the words in the prompt. Summary. Use the past simple tense to ask questions about past events. Did is commonly used to form these questions. Rearrange the words in the prompt to form a clear question. Conclusion. By practicing these questions, you will become better at using the past simple tense in your conversation. Have fun and enjoy your summer homework. Assalamu alaikum class 7 students. I hope you are doing great. I am Muhammad Kamal, your English subject teacher at the Educator's Al-Noor campus, Baghdada, Mardan. Today, we are going to learn about reflexive pronouns and how to identify them in sentences. We will do this by circling the reflexive pronoun in each sentence and drawing a line back to the subject it is reflecting. This activity will help you understand reflexive pronouns and how they are used in sentences. Understanding reflexive pronouns. Reflexive pronouns. A reflexive pronoun is used when the subject and the object of a sentence are the same person or thing. They end in self for singular. For example, myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, and selves for plural. For example, ourselves, yourselves, themselves. List of reflexive pronouns. Myself, used when I is the subject. Yourself, used when you singular is the subject. Yourselves, used when you plural is the subject. Himself, used when he is the subject. Herself, used when she is the subject. Itself, used when it is the subject. Ourselves, used when we is the subject. Themselves, used when they is the subject. Explanation for each sentence. I dressed myself this morning. Look for the reflexive pronoun myself and note that it reflects back to the subject I. Number 2, he made breakfast all by himself. Identify the reflexive pronoun himself and see that it reflects back to the subject he. Number 3, we had to cook for ourselves since mom didn't want to make dinner. Find the reflexive pronoun ourselves and connect it back to the subject we. Number 4, when you go shopping for me, buy a present for yourself. Spot the reflexive pronoun yourself and draw a line back to the subject you. Number 5, she created all the decorations by herself. Identify the reflexive pronoun herself and link it back to the subject she. Number 6. The new robotic toys can put themselves away. Notice that the reflexive pronoun themselves and relate it back to the subject toys. Number 7, they used the camera on the cell phone to take pictures of themselves. Recognize the reflexive pronoun themselves and draw a line back to the subject there. Number 8, the man talked to himself as he walked down the street. See the reflexive pronoun himself and connect it back to the subject the man. Number 9, the parrot admired itself in the mirror for several hours each day. Identify the reflexive pronoun itself and link it back to the subject the parrot. Number 10, I used a video to teach myself how to knit. Find the reflexive pronoun myself and relate it back to the subject I. Number 11, the television uses a timer to turn itself off after 1 hour. Notice the reflexive pronoun itself and connect it back to the subject the television. Number 12, you may help yourself to any of the snacks on the table. Spot the reflexive pronoun yourself and link it back to the subject you. Number 13, he hurt himself on the rusty nail and had to get a shot. Recognize the reflexive pronoun himself and draw a line back to the subject he. Number 14, the little girl learned how to dress herself for school. See the reflexive pronoun herself and connect it back to the subject the little girl. Number 15, when you save money in the bank, it's like you are paying yourself. Identify the reflexive pronoun yourself and relate it back to the subject you. Number 16, we ate so much turkey and pumpkin pie that we made ourselves sick. Notice the reflexive pronoun ourselves and link it back to the subject we. Number 17, the soccer team decided to call themselves the Tiger Tails. Spot the reflexive pronoun themselves and connect it back to the subject the soccer team. Number 18, when I saw myself in the mirror, I realized that I had paint on my cheek. Recognize the reflexive pronoun myself and draw a line back to the subject I. Number 19, did you take a class in engineering or did you teach yourself? See the reflexive pronoun yourself and link it back to the subject you. Number 20, my grandmother is no longer able to feed herself, so I help her. Identify the reflexive pronoun herself and connect it back to the subject, my grandmother. How to do this activity? Circle the reflexive pronoun. Find and circle the reflexive pronoun in each sentence. Number 2, draw a line from the reflexive pronoun back to the subject it reflects.
Reflexive pronouns are used when the subject and the object of the sentence are the same. They help emphasize that the action is performed by and directed at the same person or thing. By practicing this activity, you will become more familiar with identifying and using reflexive pronouns in sentences. Have fun and enjoy your summer homework. Assalamu alaikum, class 7th students. I hope you are doing well. I am Muhammad Kamal, your English subject teacher at the Educator Al-Noor campus, Baghdada, Mardan. Today we are going to learn how to write an essay. Our topic is neighbors, and I will guide you through the process step by step. Criteria for writing the essay. Number 1, word limit. Your essay should be between 150 to 200 words. Number 2, structure. Your essay should have a beginning, middle, and end. Number 3, title. Choose a suitable title for your essay. Number 4, grammar and spelling. Use correct grammar and check your spelling. Number 5, descriptive details. Use sensory and other descriptive details to create a picture in the reader's mind. Essay structure. How to start your beginning. Start with an introduction to the topic. You can use a general statement about neighbors and why they are important. Number 2, middle. This is the main part of your essay. Describe what makes a good neighbor. Include examples and sensory details to help the reader visualize. Number 3, end. Conclude your essay with a summary of your main points. Reflect on the importance of having good neighbors. Example outline. Title: The Value of Good Neighbors. Beginning: neighbors are an essential part of our daily lives. They live next door and can significantly impact our quality of life. Middle: a good neighbor is friendly and considerate. They greet you with a smile and are always ready to help. Describe a specific example of a helpful neighbor. For example, our neighbor Mr. Ali often helps us with our garden. He has a green thumb and shares his gardening tips with us. Use sensory details. The aroma of freshly baked cookies from Mr. Khan's house always makes our day better. End. Summarize why good neighbors are important. Reflect on how they make the community stronger and more connected. Writing tips. Introduction. Capture the reader's mind interest right away. For example, you can start with a question or an interesting fact about neighbors. Descriptive details. Use your senses to describe what do you see, hear, smell, taste, grammar and spelling. Proofread your essay to correct any errors. Summary. By following this structure and keeping these tips in mind, you will be able to write a well organized and descriptive essay on the topic of neighbors. Have fun with your writing and enjoy your summer homework. Assalamu alaikum, class 7th students. I hope all is well in your little world. I am Muhammad Kamal, your English subject teacher at the Educator Al-Noor campus, Baghdada, Mardan. Today we are going to learn about superlative adjectives and how to use them in sentences. We will do this by completing sentences with the superlative form of the adjectives provided. This activity will help you understand superlatives and how they are used to describe the highest degree of something. Understanding superlative adjectives. Superlative adjectives. Superlative adjectives are used to describe the extreme or highest degree of equality among three or more things. They are often formed by adding est to the end of the adjective, or by using most before the adjective if it is a longer word. Explanation of each sentence. Number 1. Burj Khalifa is the dash building in the world. High. To describe the tallest building, use the superlative form of high. Number 2. The cheetah is one of the dash animals on earth. Fast. To describe one of the quickest animals, use the superlative form of fast. Number 3. A Bugatti is the dash Italian car, expensive. To describe the car with the highest cost, use the superlative form of expensive. Number 4. February is the dash month of the year, short. To describe the month with the least number of days, use the superlative form of short. Number 5. Football is the dash sport in Spain, popular. To describe the most liked sport, use the superlative form of popular. Number 6. I am the dash person in my family, young. To describe the person with the least age, use the superlative form of young. Number 7. Maggie is the dash girl in my class, pretty. To describe the most attractive girl, use the superlative form of pretty. Number 8. Puppies are the dash animals of all, cute. To describe the most adorable animals, use the superlative form of cute. Number 9. Polish is one of the dash languages to learn, difficult. To describe one of the hardest languages to learn, use the superlative form of difficult. Number 10. It was the dash pasta I have ever eaten, tasty. To describe the most delicious pasta, use the superlative form of tasty. Number 11. My God dash, score on maths test, bad. To describe the lowest score, use the superlative form of bad. Number 12. Susan is the dash person I have ever known, friendly. To describe the most amicable person, use the superlative form of friendly. Number 13. The armchair is the dash in my house, comfortable. To describe the coziest armchair, use the superlative form of comfortable. Number 14. Koalas are one of the dash animals in the world, lazy. To describe one of the most inactive animals, use the superlative form of lazy. Number 15. Skydiving is one of the dash sports, dangerous. To describe one of the riskiest sports, use the superlative form of dangerous. Number 16. The dash person ever recorded weight 810 kg, fate.
To describe the heaviest person, use the superlative form of fate. Number 17. My mom was wearing the dash dress, elegant. To describe the most stylish dress, use the superlative form of elegant. How to do this activity? Number 1. Identify the adjective. Look at the adjective provided in parentheses. Number 2. Form the superlative. Add est to the end of short adjectives or use most before longer adjectives. Number 3. Complete the sentence. Fill in the blank with the superlative form of the adjective. Summary. Superlative adjectives describe the extreme degree of equality among three or more things. They are formed by adding est or using most before the adjective. By practicing this activity, you will become more familiar with using superlative adjectives correctly in sentences. Have fun and enjoy your summer homework.
Assalamu alaikum, class 7 students. I am Muhammad Kamal, your English subject teacher at the Educator's Al-Noor campus, Baghdada, Mardan. Today we are going to write a story based on a prompt. I will guide you through the process step by step. Criteria for writing the essay. Number 1. Word limit. Your story should be between 150 to 200 words. Number 2. Structure. Your story should have a beginning, middle, and end. That means introduction, body, and conclusion. Number 3. Title. Choose a suitable title for your story. Number 4. Grammar and spelling. Use correct grammar and check your spelling. Number 5. Descriptive details. Use sensory and other descriptive details to create a picture in the reader's mind. Story prompt. Maria's mother is obsessed with her garden. When sickness keeps her in bed, Maria steps up to help and finds it well tended by elves. Writing tips. Beginning. Introduce Maria, her mother, and the beautiful garden her mother loves. Describe her mother's sudden sickness and how Maria feels about taking over the garden duties. Middle. Describe Maria's efforts in the garden and her surprise when she discovers that elves have been taking care of it. Include details about the elves and their work. End. Explain how Maria interacts with the elves and how they form a bond. Conclude with Maria's mother reacts to the news and the new friendship with the elves. Remember, every challenge is an opportunity to discover something new. Use your imagination to bring this story to life and show how even the smallest helpers can make a big difference. Happy writing. Assalamu alaikum, class 7 students. I trust you are having productive vacations. I am Muhammad Kamal, your English subject teacher at the Educator's Al-Noor campus, Baghdada, Mardan. Today we will read a story about a boy named Jack and his adventure with a magic beanstalk. After reading, you will answer some questions about the story. Let's begin. Jake and the Beanstalk. Jake was a poor boy who lived with his mother. They had a cow which Jake's mother asked him to sell. Jack traded the cow for magic beans, which made his mother angry. She threw the beans out the window, and the next morning a giant beanstalk had grown. Jake climbed the beanstalk and found a castle with a giant inside. Jake took a hen that laid golden eggs and a magic harp from the giant. The giant chased Jack, but Jake's mother cut down the beanstalk, and the giant fell. Jake and his mother lived happily ever after with the hen and harp. Questions and explanations. Number 1. Which animal did Jack sell? Think about what Jack took to the market to sell. Number 2. What grew in the garden? Remember what Jack found the next morning after his mother threw the beans out the window. Number 3. How do you know the beanstalk was very tall? Think about how far Jack climbed and what he reached at the top of the beanstalk. Number 4. Which two things were on the table in the castle? Recall what the giant had on his table when Jack hid in the cupboard. Number 5. What did Jack's mother do to the beanstalk? Think about how Giant was stopped from catching Jack. Number 6. Do you think the ending is happy for everyone in the story? Explain your answer. Consider if all characters in the story were happy by the end, not just Jack and his mother.
In stories, thinking about what happens to each character helps us understand the story better. Remember to read carefully and think about the details when answering the questions. You all can do it, so let's see your answers. Good luck.
Assalamu alaikum, class 7 students. I hope you are doing fantastic. This is the last activity of your summer homework. I am Muhammad Kamal, your English subject teacher at the Educator's Al-Noor campus, Baghdada, Mardan. Today we are going to write a story based on a prompt. I will guide you through the process step by step. Criteria for writing the story. Number 1. Word limit. Your story should be between 150 to 200 words. Number 2. Structure. Your story should have a beginning, middle, and end. Number 3. Title. Choose a suitable title for your story. Number 4. Grammar and spelling. Use correct grammar and check your spelling. Number 5. Descriptive details. Use sensory and other descriptive details to create a picture in the reader's mind. Story prompt. Harry saw a black cat cross his path for the 10th time that day. Writing tips. Beginning. Introduce Harry and set the scene. Describe where he is and what he is doing when he first sees the black cat. Middle. Explain Harry's reaction to seeing the black cat repeatedly. Describe his growing curiosity or concern and what he decides to do about it. End. Conclude what Harry discovering the reason behind the cat's frequently appearances and how he feels about it. Remember, a simple prompt can lead to an amazing adventure. Use your imagination to create a vivid story that captures the reader's interest and brings the scene to life. Let your creativity shine and enjoy the journey of storytelling. Happy writing.